everybody, Darren here. I'm going to explain to you your first assignment topic and basically go over the instructions, and along the way I will mention the important things that you need to be doing and explain the mark allocation, etc. Okay, as we go along. All right, so just to get some of the basics out of the way, you need to, first of all, you're going to be writing an academic essay. And just to preface this, it is an academic essay, although you will see that you will be able to draw from your own life experience for examples, which is quite fun as well. And so, just right off the bat, in terms of structure, you must follow an academic essay structure. So, you must have introduction, body, conclusion, have properly ordered paragraphs and proper full arguments, and all of the facts and theoretical facts that you use must be referenced, okay, using at least 5 journal articles. All right, so that is a requirement given to you here that you will receive 10 marks for. So at least 5 journal articles. Okay, you may use your textbook as a source, but it does not count as these 5 journal articles. Okay. So I do encourage you to always use more than the least amount prescribed to you. So you are more than welcome to use more than 5 journal articles. But just know, and if you glance at the rubric, you'll have a look that if you use less than 5 journal articles, you cannot score in the top block of the rubric for some of the sections. Okay, so please do make sure that you are doing that. Okay, so the other nitty gritty things is that no more than 2,000 words. Okay, so you have a 2,000 word essay. There is no leeway for that. Okay, 2,000 words on the nose. I will stop marking at 2,001 words. Okay, it is an exercise in restraint and writing concisely. These are the instructions given to you. So please do not go over that 2,000 word count. Okay, it's not worth losing the marks for the content that would follow. Okay, as for what you need to do is critically discuss lifespan development in the context of assumptions and theories of human development. Okay, so you are essentially now constructing an essay around learning unit 1. Okay, if you throw back your memories to our first meeting, I did go over, lifespan development and what it's all about, and in particular those 4 main issues that are raised in lifespan development. Okay, and you will need to be discussing those in this essay. Okay, let's go through the main points just so that you can get an idea of exactly what you will be getting marks for and what you need to focus on for your essay. Okay, so what you need to make sure you're doing is discussing the key assumptions of the modern lifespan perspective. Okay, so key assumptions of the lifespan perspective, that comes straight out of chapter 1 of your textbook. So make sure you're going and using that as source material, and then using journal articles as well to provide some more depth in terms of that theory. Okay, and then, which is really the lovely part of this essay, is you get to use examples from your own life. So for each of these perspectives, and how these assumptions might apply to your development. Okay, so for instance, you're going to speak about some of the key assumptions of modern lifespan perspective, and perhaps maybe you want to now speak about, I don't want to give too much away here, but you're going to speak about, just the whole arc of development, so over the lifespan, and you can speak about your own life. Perhaps you have a memory that makes sense in terms of the theory. You can describe it then, okay? And just make sure that whatever you're using as an example does actually make sense and does actually argue for your point. So yeah, on that note, you may use I in these sections of the essay because you are speaking about yourself and your own experience. Okay, so you may use first person pronouns for that. Just try to keep it as formal as possible. Okay, it mustn't turn into a journal entry, but yeah, you may use examples from your life. Okay, you then need to discuss the theoretical viewpoints, okay, in regards to the major issues of human development. So those of you who attended that first session, this is essentially that discussion we did at the end. And then remember, I did upload that slide with the instructions as a discussion under Learning Unit 1, so you guys can go and have a look at that again. And this for 40 marks, the rest of the other 40 marks, and the big chunk of it, is to discuss those theoretical viewpoints with the major issues. So there are those four major issues, and there are three main theoretical viewpoints that you covered in this learning unit. Okay, remember psychoanalytic, cognitive, and psychosocial. So do remember to cover those four issues. How you want to structure this is entirely up to you. Okay, you have that decision to make with this essay. Um, if I were you, and this is how I would write this essay, is I would have obviously start with an introduction, right? Proper essay introduction. You provide context with an attention grabber, and you say this essay will discuss the following points, and then you list them, and then you end off with a nice little link to your first paragraph. Okay, your first paragraph after that should be this main point. You introduce this main point. So you should just define things like lifespan development. What does a modern lifespan perspective look like? Okay, that's a contextual paragraph. And then, personally, I would then structure the essay in terms of these four major issues. I would use subheadings for the issues, and then under those issues, you provide theoretical viewpoints from them. You provide that comparative argument, and then through that, you can weave in your own life experience that addresses these assumptions that are being made, okay, during these things. All right. Yeah, so then under each issue, you would discuss the theoretical viewpoints in turn, compare them, and this is a great chance for you to bring in all of those journal articles, okay, and then you can use examples. So, like, especially if you're talking about discontinuity and continuity, what is an example of a continuous theory of development? Is it perhaps Vygotsky? Maybe. Which is an example of a discontinuous theory. Could that possibly be Piaget? Okay, that kind of thing. So, by providing that comparison, you are really showing your understanding of the topic and your ability to identify these issues, okay, and providing then practical examples to support your discussion. So, to sum up what I've just been speaking about, right? So, the practical example they're speaking about here would be doing things like using a theory as an example of a major issue, right? That's a practical example. You could say, well, as an example of a discontinuous theory, Piaget has four stages and they are characterized by blah, blah, blah. Okay, and you bring in the theory that way. Hey, in your discussion under that, you would speak to some of these main assumptions that are made, and then you could bring in your own personal life experience as an example of what you've been speaking about already. Okay. This next point is essentially just reiterating what I have just said. So do make sure that you are bringing in examples, so that application with justification. Okay, so yes, if you make a claim like Piaget is a discontinuous theory, cool story, you then must explain what you mean by that and justify it. And the way that you justify that is by explaining it as an example. Okay. And then you get the last 10 marks for your overall structure and presentation. So what goes into this is whether it's structured properly and logically as an essay, so the introduction, main body with subheadings, and then conclusion. And the overall presentation, like are your paragraphs the correct length? For instance, an entire page of block writing without paragraphs is not good. You need to construct paragraphs succinctly and to form an argument. Okay, another way that you could decide to structure this essay, so the one way being you could structure it in terms of the four major issues. That is a way to do it, and to then, drill down into each of them, bringing in these practical examples of theory to justify your points, and then to speak about key assumptions under those issues and draw on your own life for experience. Okay, so you would just need to make sure that you're covering all of these points, and that's perfectly acceptable. It's a more argumentative way of approaching this essay. Okay, another way you could choose to do it is to do it simply almost chronologically in the way that it is laid out here. So your essay would almost have two parts to it, where you first discuss the key assumptions and you break them apart and you speak about that in terms of lifespan perspective, and then you use examples from your own life independently to explain, those assumptions, to reflect on that. And then you then would launch into these major issues and the viewpoints as a second part of your essay. Yeah, it's really up to you. You just need to make sure that if you do it in that two-part type of essay, that there is still flow, flowing from the first part into the second part. Okay, and make sure that your paragraphs all link together nicely. You know, those real basic essay writing skills, they are very important when it comes to an essay like this. Okay, so that is your essay topic in a nutshell. We will be having a Q&A session around this assignment in an upcoming session. Okay, so I will address all questions that come in that session. You bring the questions, I'll bring the answers. And that is how we will do that. Okay, I will advertise which session that is closer to the time, but it is on your module pacer on the ARC page. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. All right, that is that. Okay, if there are any existentially crisis worthy questions before we get to that session, please do feel free to email me and I will address your concerns. Okay. But yeah, I hope that this video has helped and good luck with starting this essay.